Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are kicking off the NFL season and we are going to talk a little Niners. And tonight on the show we have. Hey, Gina.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm fine. How are
Good.
you?
Good. All right. Next we have Ronnie.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good, man. Good.
All
Thanks for
right.
having me.
Hey,
Yes,
Ron.
sir.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All right. Next we have Mark. How are you,
What's up,
Mark?
Adam? Doing great. How are you doing?
Mhm.
Good, good. Can't
Hi, Mark.
complain.
Good. Hi, Gina.
All right. And then we on our fifth panel tonight we have Jeff.
How you
What's
doing?
going on, man? How are
Hey,
you?
Jeff.
Good. Feeling good. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Season
So,
ticket guy.
That's right.
so we're gonna kick off the show a little different because I really wanted to hear the all-time lineups first. So we're gonna kick off quarterback. This really shouldn't be a issue. I would think the backyard blitz is sick tonight, and he did text me in his, and I'm trying to get all yours copied and pasted it over here from the private chat. So Joe Montana, everyone doing that run?
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I didn't know if anyone would have picked Steve Young or not.
If it was the current game, Steve Young might play better in the current game, but Joe's the all timer.
That's a good
All
point.
time.
Yeah. There's
I mean,
there's,
you
there's
think
no
about
around
it. Oh yeah, you definitely think about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I went with the Jet as one of my running backs, Joe Perry.
Nice.
Oh.
Hmm.
Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 53, 54. Made the Hall, I believe. I don't have the year. Yeah, the one of the first running backs to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. I looked at that guy and was like, I want that guy on my team, especially in 53, 54, whenever the seasons were way shorter than they are nowadays.
Yeah. It's that's a good choice. I had to go Gore and Roger Craig just because Niners fans, you got to go with Frank Gore, and then Craig was the first
Same.
thousand guy, so it's like that. That's why I went with those two.
I'm with you, Jeff, on that. Those are the two I got.
Those were my two. I mean, the Jet, man, that's a good pick, but
Yeah.
I wasn't around to watch him play, so I just stuck with the guys that I've seen.
I think that's what I'm gonna have to do with football. I can't dig that deep like baseball, where everyone talks about the running backs and everything else. But like I said, like I went with the Jet because I mean I had to leave one out. Unfortunately, Roger Craig also made my list, but he was a fullback and he went for what do you
Mhm.
do? The 1K, the 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the
Mhm.
1 year. 500 passes in his career. I mean, that's just a hell of a career.
Yeah, and he's the only guy to make it to the Pro Bowl as a fullback and as a halfback. So that's pretty impressive too.
Yes. Ronnie, who'd you go with?
Yeah, but as far as like, let's say depth wise, I'd probably go Frank Gore RB1 and then Roger Craig RB2. That's the only thing I would add to that. But yeah, you can't. I mean, how can you go anywhere else? To be honest.
Well, the good part is you could put Roger Craig at fullback.
Hey,
Yeah.
there you
And
go.
you're
Mhm.
set.
Yeah.
So, because he was Wendell Tyler's lead back in what, 84, 83, 84, something like that. So, yeah, he was really sprint. Now, if we did a least favorite, mine would be Lawrence Phillips because he's the one that missed the block that ended Steve Young's career. So that would be mine. Not that we're doing a least favorite, but
It's just something I need to look into. Least favorite
Yeah.
guy.
and by all accounts, he wasn't a good dude anyway.
There's a lot of airing of grievances. About,
It's Festivus.
Fullback would even be a good discussion too, man.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's
for
true.
sure. I'd go Rathman.
Oh yeah.
Rathman.
Insert
yeah.
juice, maybe.
Rathman or Juice or even with Bruce Miller was damn good too.
Yeah, William Floyd was, until he got hurt, he was looking like he was going to be special.
Bar none.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like drop down Craig to fullback and insert Ricky Waters. We got to talk about Ricky Waters now. At least mention if we don't put him in the top 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him
Mhm.
like honorable mention kind of thing.
Yeah, he was great, especially as a receiver, man. He was a weapon.
All right. Any more discussion on running backs? Offensive lineman. I mean, this was a look. I went with Bob St. Sinclair. He's 6'9",
That's a
the
good
Hall
one.
of Famer.
I
went
Old
back.
school, man.
I did. That's a big lineman for his era,
Yeah.
and to be in the Hall of Fame. I tend to lead that way. I was looking at Staley too, but it just I went with the 6'9" guy. Usually you don't see them as back then, especially as linemen. So that's why I went that route.
I went with the guy they have now. I mean, Trent Williams is just absolutely a beast. And I don't know if they've ever had an offensive lineman who at the time was the best in the league. But Trent Williams is certainly that guy.
That's true. Staley was always like, the conversation was always like, yeah, he's top 3, top 5, but he's never like the lockdown best guy. But you know, you can't tell the story of the last 15 years of 49ers football without him. Maybe not that long, but he's, you know, he was the starting left tackle for 2 completely different Super Bowl teams. So
Yeah.
that's why I gave it to him.
Yeah, I thought through the Harbaugh line. You remember that line when Harbaugh wasn't? And I thought through that, but eventually, no, I ended at Trent too. And then, you know, I know Madden ratings don't mean stuff. You know, people say it doesn't mean anything, but it does to me. A 99 O lineman. I mean, that's pretty freaking phenomenal, man.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And Shanny can put him in motion as a lead blocker like he did in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
Gina, who did you go with?
For O line,
Yes.
I went with Jesse Sapolo.
Yeah. Great choice.
Oh,
I remember him playing. I'm old enough to remember. Pushing 50. And 15-year career. He played during the Joe and Steve era. Just a little bit into Steve, and then 4 Super Bowls, 2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. So I don't think you can go wrong there.
Yeah. That's a great pick.
Physical guy.
Definitely.
I went with George Kittle and Vernon Davis.
Oh, so we moved to tight end.
A tight end.
Sorry, I jumped.
Yeah. No, they didn't
It's like,
play on the
oh.
line. They weren't linemen.
No, I mean I went Davis and Kittle too, just because you know there's some good options here, but you can't go wrong with 2 of the best say 10 pass catching tight ends of the last 20 years. So
They were on my list too.
I actually went and I thought about Vernon Davis. He might be the best of the bunch, but I went with Kittle and Brent Jones just because Brent was great. But
Yeah.
he didn't have the numbers because he played with Rice and Taylor and Ricky Waters and Roger Craig. And so had he played with who Kittle and Davis have played with, he may have had even better numbers than he had. I don't know. Of course, he also played with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks and didn't play with Alex. And not that he was bad, but he wasn't what the other 2 were.
Right.
Mark, my man. Yeah. Dude, when I think about like the 90s and 49ers football, like I think about Brent Jones, man. So I went with Brent and with Kittle. To your point, he didn't have the flashy stats, but that dude was tough, man.
He
And
was.
him and Young, I mean, I seen that guy land
Mhm.
on his head. I seen him break his jaw
He did.
and come back into the game. Like,
Yep.
yeah, so that's who I would go with is Brent and Kittle. I love the way those two play.
Yeah, Brent used to get hit so hard so many times that I would go, oh gosh, I hope he's not dead. And he always, like you said, man, he always bounced back.
Hey, pop up when you hear about people talk about how football players were tougher in the 90s or whatever. It's kind of, I think, a little bit of Brent Jones, just taking a whack and then just like, okay, I'm back. Let's do this.
Yeah.
All right, we got tight ends covered.
I'd say so.
Well, naturally, I went Jerry Rice.
Who's that? Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
No, I mean, yeah, Jerry Rice. It's easy for us because it starts with Jerry Rice. I did the math. People talk about how good Cooper Kupp was last year, and he was 1.5% of all the receiving yards in the league. Jerry Rice was 1.5 of the receiving yards from 1986 to 1995. So he had a Cooper Kupp decade. As dominant as Kupp was last year, that's what Rice did for a whole decade. And then he played like another 10 years on top of that.
And that's a great stat.
Yeah.
Jerry had 1,549 receiving catches, had over 22,000 yards, 197 TDs, Super Bowl MVP of 23 with 215 yards. It's hard to argue that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple people on this roster that probably could be argued as best of all time, not just best on the Niners. I think Jerry Rice would be part of that conversation for sure.
Yeah, and I think if you're saying against Jerry Rice, it's one of those like, do you really mean this, or are you just trying to get attention? Sort of things. When you say it's not Jerry Rice is the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I went Terrell Owens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I concur.
Yeah, I actually went, let's see. Oh, I went Rice, Owens, John Taylor, who probably would have been a number one if he didn't play with Rice. And then I went Dwight Clark, because how could you not have him?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I went like we said, Rice, T.O., Clark, and then I went with Debo. Just you saw what he did last year. He's revolutionizing how the position is played. He's his yards after contact. A lot of wide receivers in the league would be excited to just have that many yards. So he's just this new like archetype of receiver, and I think that he could have an all-time career. And maybe I'm too excited about Debo, but I really loved what I saw last year.
Is he going to get the extension?
Absolutely.
Yes.
They just have to get Jimmy out of there first, and then
Probably
they'll do it.
they'll probably get it on Tuesday, something like that.
Hopefully.
Just to make news during the week.
Yeah, there was his trainer in the Bay posted, I think it was a TikTok with him and Debo, and he's like, he's back in the Bay and he's about to get paid. So sounds like things are getting close.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of my questions anyway, so I figure I might as well knock it out now. Because it said is that they weren't close, according to a couple reports, that they were not close in negotiations at all. I'm not from the Bay. I don't know what's going on. I just know what I read.
Well, so Bay reporting is kind of wild because there's a lot of guys who do stuff just for attention, and aren't necessarily the most reputable. And then there's a lot of national people that just kind of make things up, and the 49ers just don't care to correct them. So there's outside of the Bay, there's a lot of this just like stuff that you hear, and as a Niners fan who follows the correct people, it's like this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so I like to say, the same people who are saying this stuff are the people who said the Niners were taking Mac Jones at 3. It's like that was never
Right.
the card. So
I went Owens, Taylor, and Samuel. I did leave out Dwight Clark. You guys can hear me.
That's
that's all right.
blasphemy.
He did have the big catch, though. I mean, the
Yeah.
one that's shown on every commercial out there.
Yeah, they have a life-size statue of it outside Levi's too.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
same distance and same like orientation of a Montana statue and a Dwight Clark statue.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Yep.
cool.
And I had Rice, Owens, Clark, and Taylor.
All right.
Yeah.
Ron, do you want to give your final thoughts before you cut out and go to your show?
No, I wish I can keep going. Maybe we can reschedule sometime. I'd love to be on and finish it, or but yeah.
All right. Yeah, we could do that.
All right, I'll catch you guys later.
All right,
See you, Ron.
Take
All
care.
right.
Take it
Bye.
easy. All right. Well, sometimes you start a little late. You don't get the full action. I know, Mark. Let's finish at least this because I know you got a book out of here too, right?
Yeah, I've got about 15 minutes.
Okay. All right. I'm glad I got the lineups out of the way then. Unless you guys want to talk about something different, we can move on.
No, that's fine.
All right.
Keep it rolling.
All right. I went Bryant Young as my defensive lineman.
I went Justin Smith to be different, but Bryant Young is probably the answer.
14 seasons, Hall of Fame induction this year. I had to give him props, you know.
Yeah, with Justin Smith, he was such a key part of that dominant defense with Jim Harbaugh, and you know he made Aldon Smith work, and he was so versatile. You think about I forget which Eagles player he chased down a wide receiver downfield.
Yeah,
as a defensive
Macklin.
lineman. Yeah, it was Macklin. He chased him down, punched out the ball to win a game, and it's just like, come on, that's who does that as a defensive lineman?
Yeah, I have Young like little stats running across the bottom there.
Oh, that's cool.
So.
Nice.
So yeah, that was going to talk about him getting inducted, and I figured you guys might want to say something about him. You've all seen him play, so. Do you feel his delay of getting in the Hall was because he was a quiet player? He just did his job and went home. Do you feel that, and he didn't make a big name, a big splash, as they would say it nowadays? Do you think that had something to do with him not making the Hall as fast as he did? Would it take him 9 years or something, I think?
Yeah, he retired in 2007, so it took him a while to get there.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, the Bryant Young thing is he was playing for the Niners in a couple eras where they weren't quite what they had been. So he was kind of working quietly behind the scenes, like you said. And because the Niners were, not in the Super Bowl every year anymore, people kind of forgot about him. They forgot about the guys in the trenches for the Niners. And that's why I think it took him a long time to get in there. So, he obviously he made the one Super Bowl. I believe it was his rookie year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his rookie year. But after that, it was just kind of just like quietly just dominating in the background. You think of guys now like trying to think like Chandler Jones doesn't get all the publicity and stuff of like a Bosa brothers or anything like that, but he's been one of the best defensive linemen in the league for a decade. So that's kind of how I think of it.
Yeah, and I think he didn't have the big sack numbers that a lot of, the Warren Sapps had, and so that also could be part of it.
Yeah,
but yeah, playing on
Sapp
something
was
crappy.
A huge personality too.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
That was my main question. I wanted to know because you guys more watch the Niners than obviously a Steeler fan did every week. So who'd you go with? Yeah, you.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Bryant Young.
You went Bryant Young.
BY.
I was gonna go with BY. I actually changed my vote to Nick Bosa. And the reason that I got to Bosa is because I was sitting there thinking, is Charles Haley, was he defensive line or was he considered a linebacker? And I couldn't remember.
Linebacker.
I think it was. I think he was considered a linebacker in a 3-4 or something like that.
He was an outside
And so
linebacker.
I was gonna go with Haley if he would have been defensive line, just because he was a wrecking crew, and then they idiotically traded him to Dallas, and then he became a wrecking crew against the 49ers and cost
Mhm.
us at least 2 Super Bowls. So
We
yeah,
haven't
that's the part of it. But yeah, I went with Nick Bosa just because if he stays healthy, I think that he's going to be one of the greats in this organization.
Mark, he was. I had him first, and then I said, I got to go BY, so I nudged
Yeah.
him off.
How are you
Hey.
tonight, Ted? How are you?
Hey, Ted.
Hey, how's
How's
it
it
going,
going, Ted?
everybody?
Hey, how you
Good.
doing?
Good. How are
Good,
you?
good. Can't complain.
We're going over like an all-time lineup. We're on defensive lineman right now.
All right. So we're picking one defensive lineman.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, I guess I'd have to say Charles Haley, probably.
We're putting him as a linebacker.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Then
That was what the
Then-
conversation you were just walking into.
then probably Bryant Young.
Mm,
All
I
right.
like it.
Or if we're going further back, Fred Dean
Oh,
Ooh.
Fred Dean was a
Yeah.
monster.
from the glory days.
That's a good one.
All right. We got all that. Now we're 2 linebackers and then 4 defensive backs. Just so Ted's caught up. I don't know if Gina sent him over the stuff or not.
I did.
Oh, you did? All right. So I went with Charles Haley and Patrick Willis. Charles Haley had 63 and a half sacks. He was Seifert's elephant linebacker. It just fit to have him on there.
I went with I forget who gave him the nickname of the Double Mint Twins, but it's Bowman and Willis, mostly because I was having Haley as a defensive lineman. But Bowman and Willis are just they were 2 of the top probably 5 linebackers in the league at the time playing together. They made that team work on defense, I think, so much. And Willis's career cut short by the foot issue. Bowman's career cut short by the injury in the NFC Championship game. I think with both players, I think that we were robbed of back half of Hall of Fame careers, and now their case is.
Yeah.
I don't think Bowman has a case, and Willis's case is shaky, and it's unfortunate.
I agree with you. I have Keena Turner and
Ooh.
Patrick Willis.
Mm.
And I remember Keena playing, so I had to go with back as far as I remember. And I don't think anyone will argue with me, but 4 Super Bowls. Yeah, and he played. Did he play with Steve too?
I think yes. I don't think he was on that last Super Bowl
Yeah,
team,
real
but he
quick.
yeah, he played maybe like right up to that.
Ted?
So 2 linebackers. I mean, I would go Patrick Willis and Fred Warner. And then honorable mention, I'd probably mention Jack Hacksaw Reynolds back from the glory
Ooh.
days.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I initially wrote Willis and Bowman, but I thought Charles Haley might be a defensive lineman, so I'm changing it to Patrick Willis and Charles Haley.
Fair enough.
The way I went. I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue, I mean, you could probably put any guy that we all mentioned as a combo on this linebacking core and still be pretty dominant.
Yeah, it's a franchise that's been blessed with a lot of dominant linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mine hasn't. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Please. We remember those guys that like Kevin Green and those
Jack
guys.
Lambert.
Yeah, he was all right.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, he was all right. 4-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
Kevin Green, LeVon Kirkland. But anyway, we're not going to talk black and gold. We're going to talk red and gold, right? That's right. All right, so for defensive backs, I went Jimmy Johnson. He had 47 interceptions, second defender behind Leon. I don't even want. I'll botch it. The end, Leon and Needham.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't know how to say his name though.
I went with Ronnie Lott, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to go first? I did too.
I can go first this time. He was only in San Francisco for 1 year, but Deion Sanders is
Yeah.
the greatest cover corner that the NFL has seen. So he has to be in there. Ronnie Lott, obviously. I went with Eric Wright. He was so good.
So
in the
did I.
80s.
He's on my list.
And then the other guy that's going to stun you is I went with the big safety Jeff Fuller. In the late 80s, I mean, nobody hit harder than he did. Even Ronnie Lott wasn't hitting harder at that point than Jeff Fuller. He was great for a couple of years, man. He was right up there with Ronnie Lott. But then he had I think a neck injury that paralyzed him for a while, and had to retire. But man, he was really good.
Wow. I went with obviously Ronnie Lott, and then pick machine Merton Hanks. I mean,
yes, Merton.
yeah, the dance. That was. So that was I was born in '86, so that was my youth 49ers. That was watching that sort of thing. So that was fun for me. Then Jimmy Johnson, obviously Hall of Famer, and then I wanted to put Deion, but the 1 year thing really stuck with me. So I went with another potential Hall of Fame guy that was with the Niners for a short time, and I went with Richard Sherman just because of the story. Think about how much we hated Richard Sherman. And then he comes to the 49ers, bets on himself, is an all-pro.
Yeah.
And everybody loves him. And it's just a great story. Just so much fun with Richard Sherman.
Ted?
Yeah, I mean, these have mostly been taken. Ronnie, Deion, Eric Wright, and I would say Merton. I mean, I really like Jimmy Ward a lot, so I'll say Jimmy Ward.
I went
Interesting.
Tim McDonald.
So did
Yeah.
I.
He was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I went
That's a
to
good one.
McDonald.
He's called one of the smartest players to ever play the game. It's hard to pass that one up.
Yep, I had I had Ronnie, Eric Wright, Tim McDonald, and Eric Davis.
Oh wow.
He
Is
was
coming?
phenomenal.
Is he coming?
I don't know.
Figured I'd ask, Gina. That would have been a good time to bring him in if you did.
Well, you never know.
Right. All right. So what is going on with Jimmy G? Is he staying, going? Don't all jump at once here.
I don't
Okay.
think we know.
I've been answering first, so I was giving other people a chance, but he's gone. I mean, he hasn't talked all offseason. He hasn't been around the team. He hasn't even talked to the quarterbacks coach. He had a going away press conference in February, but then he just he got surgery on his injured shoulder, and it just cooled the market. John Lynch is out here talking spicy about how he has 2 second-round picks, and everybody told him to screw off if he's gonna negotiate in the media like that. And so they're just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. But they need to get that money off the roster, and they need the team to not have that crutch. If they're going to go with Trey Lance, they got to go with Trey Lance all the way, come hell or high water. And if you're just turning and looking at the guy who took you to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game, sitting there holding a clipboard, I mean, eventually you're going to lose the locker room. But if you trade him and give him opportunity elsewhere, who are you going to turn to? Sudfeld, not Studfeld. Sudfeld or Brock Purdy. It's just like, come on.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised Cleveland didn't jump in on this, but they signed Jeff Rosen today for a 1-year deal for some
Yeah,
reason.
former 49ers legend Josh Rosen. So there you go.
Yeah.
I think the Watson thing also cooled the market for Jimmy, because that not being resolved kind of held everything off, because everybody was waiting for that. And then, Garoppolo, he's not a top of market quarterback. So people aren't jumping at the chance to get it.
Although I did see a report today, a guy by the name of Cam Marino reported that there are 5 teams interested in Jimmy. I don't know if anybody else saw that today, but
I saw Miami was one of the teams. So
Yeah,
is that
Miami-
What, is that
Miami
what brought this up?
Miami, Detroit, the Texans, the Falcons, and the Seahawks were the 5 listed, not the Browns.
I can't see them trading in division,
Nah.
especially at quarterback. Especially someone that can hurt you, like on offense every play.
They have
Not
to cut
saying-
him first. Yeah.
So that was one of my questions for you guys, because there's just so many options.
He's definitely gone. I still think we'll get something for him. We have plenty of time to wait. The thing is if teams wait until we cut him, we'll wait until like August 29th to do it. So they
Mhm.
get very little time to get him into their system. So
Yeah.
if you want time to put him into your system, you're going to have to pay a little something for him, is what I
Mhm.
think. Not a
I
lot.
think, I think they're also waiting for a Teddy Bridgewater situation from a few years ago, where they ended up trading for Sam Bradford, and because the Vikings were over a barrel, they got a first. They had to give a first to get Bradford, so they're probably waiting for that too.
Or a QB to get injured in camp, which
Yeah.
can
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
All right. The Debo, is that getting extended?
Absolutely.
Yes.
As soon as Jimmy's gone, when they have the space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that
I
they've enough
agree.
to wait for that.
Yeah. I think they'll do that. I think he's going to get extended next week.
I think so too.
I don't have any inside information. Nobody talks to me, but
I'm with you, Mark.
That's
I'm
just what I
with
think.
you. Mhm, I agree.
I try to get them to talk to me, but they won't.
I usually don't have sources. I did hear something from a friend a couple weeks back, but it doesn't seem like it's coming through, so I probably won't repeat it again, but feel free to look on my timeline.
All right.
All right.
How do people get a hold of you, Ted?
At TedH6 at Twitter.
Ted's the late bloomer on the show today. It's all right. We're here to talk some
Thanks
Niners,
to me,
right?
it's my fault.
Oh, you're fine. You made the show, so that's all that counts.
That's right.
And if you want, I can go through my list of the other all-time 49ers.
Yeah, if you want to, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll do it real quick. For 2 running backs would be Roger Craig, and I'd probably go Garrison Hurst because he was here a little bit longer, but I really loved Ricky Waters. If it was just all-time talent, I'd put Ricky over Garrison. 1 offensive lineman, Joe Staley. 2 tight ends, Kittle and Brent Jones. The 4 wide receivers, Jerry, Debo, John Taylor, and obviously Dwight Clark. So, and I think that got us back to where we were.
That did get us to where we got to go. So a lot of these.
I have one thing to say. So I was going to have Eric Davis join us, but unfortunately he could not make it. He is having a big celebration with his wife tonight. So I was holding out for him, but but
I'm
he's
not
still on
sure.
my list regardless.
I'm not sure if that's more important than this. I mean,
I know, right? Who
Yeah.
knew?
I had to change my list real quick.
oh yeah, no, hold on, it's Eric Davis. He's one of mine for too.
He said, "Have a great show." So far, it's great. Would have been better if he's on here.
Yeah.
I mean,
He could have made a
ED,
guest
right?
appearance with his wife.
Yeah, I sent him the StreamYard, so Maybe he'll be drunk and come on.
There you go.
Fingers
If
crossed.
he's doing something with his life romantically, I hope he doesn't come on.
True enough.
Maybe we catch up with him later whenever we can all get together. And yes, if
Yes.
Eric Davis comes on, you guys are all welcome back because you're in the show right now. Just,
Yes.
Nice.
just letting everyone know.
All y'all.
Sounds
Yes.
great.
So just to let you know, a little token for coming on. Yeah, that was something me and Gina have been working on for the last couple days here. She's like, I might be able to get him.
Last
Like,
week.
all right, well,
Since
let's
last
try.
week. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So Gina, I know you've been to the stadium. I know Jeff, you have season tickets,
Mhm.
and you drive down every weekend
Yep.
or every home
From
game.
where?
Sacramento.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to
Takes
live.
about 3 hours.
Yeah, like I said before the show, it's 2 hours to get to the stadium and then 45 minutes outside. But I used to live 10, 15 minutes away from the stadium. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was nice.
So do you like this stadium better than Candlestick?
It depends. It's Candlestick was so much more fun
It's-
and
It
intimate.
was
and
unique.
it was it was a nice experience. But Levi's, they definitely were like, all right, how can we make this experience as painless as possible for people to get around the stadium, which is nice. The nice wide concourses are good, but it's so stale. It's so and I gotta stare at I'm in the nosebleeds at the visitor side, which they intentionally stuck in the sun. I gotta stare at that stupid tower that I hate so much every game. So it's hideous. I don't like the way it looks, but the experience is a little bit cleaner, I would say.
It's not as loud. That's a big problem, and it's harder getting in and out.
Hmm.
Parking sucks.
Interesting.
That's all
Although-
true.
Yeah. When did it open? 2013?
Right around there, yeah.
Yeah, we
14.
14.
Yeah.
Okay, we finally figured out where we park now in the tailgate lot for the best in and out access.
You're in the
father-
blue.
Yeah,
Blue
my
lot,
father.
yeah.
Yeah, my father-in-law is obsessed with like the best in and out access. So for years we were like testing different spots around the lot. And we finally got there, and yeah, that was his big mission forever because he did that at Candlestick too, and eventually. So if you look at pictures of Candlestick where they show the point, you'll see a blue barn like out towards the bay. We parked right in front of that blue barn. And he was like, it's the best spot for in and out.
We used to park on the street, like off of 3rd,
Yeah.
like
well,
when residential.
yeah.
We did
Well,
we did the hill lot. The going up the hill was pretty easy out onto 3rd Ave to get out.
Mark, you've never been to a game, right?
Not in San Francisco or Santa Clara. No,
Mark's your traveling.
I've been
fan.
to Dallas, been to Indianapolis, but
Nice.
no,
Then-
I'd love to come to the Bay Area and go to a game.
the new stadium, or did you go to?
In Dallas,
to-
no, it was the old one. It was 1995
Oh.
when Steve Young was hurt and Elvis Gerbeck led the team to big victory when the 49ers were 14-point underdogs.
Is that about
And,
the time Jason Garrett was playing in Dallas, or was Troy?
Yeah,
Aikman
he
still
was
playing?
Aikman was the quarterback, but he got hurt early in the game, and I think Wade Wilson may have been the guy that came in. Because I remember we went into that thinking we're going to see Steve Young and Troy Aikman, and we saw Elvis Gerbeck and Wade Wilson. But we also got to see Michael Irvin, Emmett Smith,
Oh, yeah.
Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders. So that was cool.
Made up for it a little bit.
yeah.
And the 49ers won big, and the
Anytime
hated
they beat
Cowboys
Dallas,
lost.
it's
So.
big.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime
Yeah.
they beat them.
Yeah,
it's
I'd
like-
tell you one story that from that is that I'm in my hotel and there's this thing, about for tourists, what's here in Dallas. And so there's this little blurb on the Cowboys, and it actually said each year the Cowboys play against the hated San Francisco 49ers. And I loved it. I thought that was perfect because we hated them just as much as they hated us.
Oh yeah.
Is that your biggest rival?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
them or
out of the division,
Rams.
yeah. Yeah, it was the Seahawks, but
Well, that was kind of like that like went up and then back down at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it started for me, like, because I started watching it in 1980 or whatever, the Cowboys, and then I asked my uncle today, who's visiting my dad, and he said, it was the Rams and then the Cowboys, the Rams in the 70s and 80s, and then he said, then the Cowboys. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that, and now I feel like after the Cowboys, it went to more now like Seattle, and now it's more Rams like than anything because obviously, well, they beat us the 7th time that after we beat them 6, but yeah, I feel like now it's F the Seahawks, like now they're really nothing now without Russ.
Yeah, I think it was more of a Russ hatred, and then I think the Richard Sherman coming over kind of like eased all tensions between the Niners and the Seahawks, and they're just a regular division rival now.
And I like Marshawn Lynch. So
Oh yeah, beast mode.
he's
I still
he's a
question
Bay
why they
product.
didn't give him. I still question why they didn't give him the ball.
I know he should have
which
had
game? Oh, that
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Malcolm Butler interception.
Just
Yeah.
like Frank Gore should have had the ball instead
Yeah.
of throwing it Crabtree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just like
I think
Peyton
the
should have had
Seahawks thing went all the way till this year, though, till they got rid of Russ and Bobby, and it was clear now that they're not a threat. And they just disappeared off of Twitter at that point. Like, there's a couple delusional ones left that still think they're going to compete. Don't realize that they're tanking this year, but
Drew Lock, baby, Drew Lock.
Well, it's just not just QB though. Like, name a Seahawks cornerback for me now that DJ Reed is gone. I mean, they got nobody at cornerback. They have great safeties, but no corners on that team.
It ain't the Legion of Doom anymore, huh?
No, and Carson
Legion
is
of Boom. Sorry. Jeez.
Chris Carson is really iffy with that neck, whether he'll play or not. And Rashad Penny kind of came on late in the season last year, but he's a giant question mark and pretty much a bust for a first-round pick at this point. So, I mean, yeah, I guess they got the new kid though. Blanking on his name.
Walker.
Yeah,
I like
Kenneth
Walker. He's pretty good, but you're not going to get scared of a team because they got a pretty good running back.
Well, they also drafted 3 linemen too, right? So.
Yeah,
they're getting set up to draft a QB next year. So that's one reason why I wouldn't mind giving them Jimmy G. If they win a few more games, it might mess up their pick to get a quarterback. So
yeah, they say the quarterback draft next year is going to be a lot better than this year.
Yeah,
I thought for sure Pete Carroll would have went after Kenny Pickett because that was kind of like his guy, like while following him through USC and everything else. Like Kenny Pickett was his kind of guy. That was just my personal opinion on it, but
maybe it was the small hands.
Oh my God. Everyone talks about that.
Oh, sorry. That's right. You're a Steelers fan? I'm sorry. Well, hey, same thing for you guys. You guys got, well, I mean, at least you have Mitch, who supposedly made strides with the Bills. And, you're another team that's like kind of got all the pieces. You're QB away. So if it's not Kenny, maybe reload next year.
All right, guys. Just real quick, Mark, you want to tell people how to get a hold of you? Like I said, you're welcome back anytime. I know you had a role. Thanks for giving us an extra 15 minutes almost for staying over. You want to tell people how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, you catch me on Twitter at 49ers Camelot, or go to 49erswebzone.com and check out some of the stuff that I do there.
I believe I follow you. I follow most Niner fans.
Okay. I just followed you just minutes ago. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it was
All
good.
right.
Had fun.
Well, thanks, Mark. Thank you for coming on, man. Well,
All right,
I'll keep
no
it.
problem.
Okay, I'll keep up with you.
All right. See ya.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Have fun.
Take care.
You too.
All right, guys. So So Ted, do you go to games? Are you a season ticket holder or anything?
No, I have a buddy who has season tickets, so I pick at least one game a year that I go to. Sadly, lately it's been the Seahawks games, and we haven't won any of those. But then there's always at least one more a year where somebody backs out, and I get to go. Like right before COVID, it was Carolina. I got to go see that game, which was a pretty good one with the Bosa interception. And all the running TDs for, I think it was Tevin Coleman had the big one there.
Tevin Coleman used up all the rest of his running in that game. And
Yeah, he had that one. He did pretty well against the Vikings too. But yeah, those are his only 2 games that season.
Yeah.
And then, so and then I was thinking about going to the Chiefs game this year, but it's right around the time of my 15-year anniversary. So thinking like Rams and Bucks or Rams and Chargers are the ones I'm kind of focused on. See some of the good QBs coming our way.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of cool that we'll be on the second, I guess we'll say second annual Tom Brady retirement tour.
Yeah, I think this one will stick. He's got 375 million reasons to retire this time.
Yeah,
so.
I think he'll be good.
I definitely like Candlestick better than Levi's, especially just because it was louder. You know, I mean, for that
Much
reason
louder.
alone, you know, it just wasn't so corporate. I love that Levi's is a money machine, and it helps us to, you know, spend more money and be able to, you know, do different contract deals and things like that. But from a fan experience, and I'm not even on the sunny side, our buddy is not. So I mean, and those poor people cook. Luckily, it seems like we're doing a lot of away games early in the season now on a regular basis, and a lot of night games early on to help minimize that. But for instance, this year, this week 2 Seahawks.
You guys had the Mexico game this year too, right?
Yeah, Mexico City against the Cardinals.
Unless they have a concert that week and the field gets ruined again.
Oh, jeez.
We have a shit ton of fans in Mexico.
Yeah, it's what happens when you win, 5 Super Bowls in what is 8 or 9 years?
Facts, yes,
something like that.
It was 14 years, but yeah,
14.
I'm sure that was exciting times.
Oh yeah, 14.
We are in 4 and 9 years.
I still would have liked to seen what the Steelers would have done with if it would have been any closer. I should say closer because you guys destroyed San Diego that year and we lost on a Hail Mary on the final play of the game. It felt like in the AFC Championship game at Three Rivers, and everyone still talks like, what would have that Super Bowl been better or not?
Probably.
I mean, I won't argue with how it turned out, but probably
I know.
Probably a more
annihilated.
Product. Yeah.
Yeah.
We annihilated the Chargers.
Steve Young set a Super Bowl record that still stands with 6 passing
touchdowns.
TDs.
Yeah.
Didn't that one guy catch them all?
Well, Jerry caught some, and Jerry caught 2, and Ricky Waters, who I was just talking about, caught 2, and then I would bet Brent Jones or John Taylor caught another, but I just remember Ricky and Jerry had 2 each of the 6.
What was that, 95?
Yeah, well, it was 94 season,
94
95.
season, yeah.
Yeah, 95 when it February of 95 when it was played. I think back then it was in January.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Looks like January
29th.
Yeah.
In Miami, if I recall. Yeah, back when I had Joe Robbie Stadium. Or Hard Rock Stadium, right?
It was Joe Robbie back then. Yeah.
When baseball played, it was Hard Rock, right?
It was Hard Rock for the Chiefs Niners Super Bowl, and it's Hard Rock now. Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking up stats real quick.
No worries. No, that was a huge one. Obviously, Deion Sanders came and joined the team sort of mid-season. Was the linchpin on that defense.
Jerry Rice had 3 touchdowns that game.
Wow.
Ricky had 2.
Ricky did have 2, and he had a rushing and a pass.
Oh.
And then William Floyd had 1.
Bar none.
Yeah.
No, Waters had 3 too, huh? Yeah. 1 rush, 2 catches.
Oh,
okay, so he did have 2 catching. I thought so.
Yeah.
So they each had
Sorry.
3 TDs, 2 rushing or 2 receiving, 1 rushing for Ricky. I got it.
And of course, the 98-yard kickoff return by Andre Coleman for the Chargers. That was
Kept it respectable for them for a minute.
Of course, Tony Martin caught the last touchdown pass in that game. So you're in San Francisco, Ted?
I'm on the peninsula, so kind of in between San Francisco and San Jose.
I'm in Daly City right now at this moment, but I live in San Francisco. I'm at my
Fair-
parents' house.
Nice.
All right. So have you gone to any Super Bowls?
No, I haven't been to any playoff games, honestly. Like when I had season tickets with my buddy, we would always just sell them when we make the playoffs because it would pay for the whole next season of season tickets. So
I've
I-
been to 2 NFC Championship games. The one against the Giants in 2012, right? And that one, Kyle Williams. Need I say more? Right? Yeah, a couple of muffs there, and then 2019, I went to the divisional and the NFC Championship game. So Vikings and Green Bay.
Awesome.
And then I got access to the field at the after the championship game. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, those guys, Nothing But Niners.
Mhm.
Nothing But
Yeah.
Niners, right? Yeah, they invited me, and they're like, the only catch is you have to go by yourself, like show up by yourself. There's no extra ticket. And I was
Mhm.
like, because I really want to take my son or my mom, and I met like incredible people, and Wayne Breezy was there, and a bunch of other guys from Nothing But Niners, and I had a blast. I took all these pictures, and I showed Adam me on the field.
You're on the field. Yeah, I saw a couple of them. That's pretty impressive.
Just
Yeah,
luck.
I just think it's fun being like around the whole atmosphere of it all. I remember you talk about Candlestick having the narrow walkways for that was just like Yankee Stadium. That's a nightmare too. The old one.
Yeah.
At least the new one they widened it up a little bit, but that was a nightmare. But the only bad thing about Yankee Stadium was if you bought outfield seats, you had to stay in the outfield. You couldn't walk around the stadium.
Oh, wow.
Really? Wow.
That wasn't the truth. We didn't know that when we bought them, or else I would have never bought them.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because
So-
usually when I buy bleachers at AT&T or what is it, Oracle Park now,
Or-
I'll wander around the stadium, and just kind of hang out in all the different places.
Right,
Yeah.
you get different views, different perspectives.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I didn't like. I did go back and get the tour of the stadium, but it wasn't the same. Like I was in the outfield. I'm glad I found out at the same time, but it was just so frustrating that we couldn't walk around the stadium.
Yeah, that would suck for me.
Like we were just stuck in the outfield. At least it ain't like Wrigley where they have bleacher seats and it's first come, first serve.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's wild.
There's no seat. So if you get up for a beer, you might have to find a new seat.
Wow.
All right.
That is not good. And yeah, like if you want to go see probably one of the best series, probably be Milwaukee and Chicago. That's in Wrigley. No, in Miller Park, or what is that? American Ball Field. It's a little more friendly than Wrigley.
Mhm.
But anyway,
I would love to go to those stadiums, Wrigley, Fenway, and Yankee Stadium. That's for sure on my bucket list.
right?
Yeah, I told my wife who hates baseball, I said, if we win the lottery, I'm going to do every baseball stadium one season. And
That's
she's
what
like,
I want to do.
Yeah, she's like, oh
With
boy.
an RV.
Yeah.
Get an
How
RV and just drive all around the country.
Yeah.
You're gonna John Madden it.
Yeah. We're going to take our dogs in the Madden mobile.
You could probably find one if you have enough money to buy.
Well, if I have the money to see 30 baseball stadiums in one year, I'll figure it out.
Right.
So Ted, do you have any? Have you been to many stadiums or?
No, not many at all. I mean, I've been to, I've been to obviously Candlestick and Levi's. I've been to Stanford Stadium, Cal Memorial Stadium, LA Coliseum, and Roracle, and now Chase Center, and both and Candlestick for Giants games, and Oracle for the Newark Giants games. Besides that, I don't think I've seen any of my teams anywhere. I don't think I've ever traveled to go see any of my teams really. So that's something I definitely would like to do at some point.
My
thought
brother
this-
Ryan went to the NFC Championship at SoFi, and he said it's the best stadium he's ever been to.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Yeah,
Except for that it doesn't have grass.
he said that it like when you're outside, it looks small, like not very tall, but then it goes down underneath. They like
Oh.
went down, and so even the nosebleed seats are excellent. It's an excellent view. So I would picture kind of like like from what I've heard, hockey, like it's how the circular is, and you can kind of look down at the players onto the rink. So that's what it reminded me of when he explained it.
Yeah, the
I've
domes
never
are
been.
interesting. The
Yeah,
domes
Leo-
are interesting to go to. I went to a game at I went to the George Kittle game at the Superdome a few years ago, and that was,
Oh, I know people that went.
yeah, that was an experience being in there because that stadium was literally shaking because there's
Wow.
nowhere for all the reverberation to go. So because
Yeah.
it's a dome, so it all stays in there. Like it was literally shaking pregame, and I was like, all right, man. And
Wow.
after going to Levi's for years, I was like, oh yeah, this is what football stadiums are supposed to be like. I forgot.
Like you get the loudness at Heinz Field, but you do not get the you don't get the bleachers like you did at Three Rivers. You don't get the pounding on the bleachers, and you're able to stomp and make extra noise. And that's the one thing I miss about it. It wasn't a dome, but I mean, you could make noise and
Mhm.
that. But we got Heinz Field, and it's not it's not even Heinz Field anymore. It's I don't even ask.
Acrisure.
Yeah. So
Everything's getting all the corporate sponsorships, and it's
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
I've never been anywhere in California. I've never been to California, so I can't tell you anything about it.
It's hot.
But I've been to Safeco. I've been to Quest. I don't even know what is Seattle's new football stadium name.
Lumen.
Lumen. I've been to Lumen then, but it was Quest whenever I went.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. I guess whenever they were putting the concrete down, seagulls landed in the middle of the concrete and walked, and their prints are still there.
That's cool.
So
Wow.
if you're ever up there and walking around, you see Seahawk prints. That's what happened.
Well, that's pretty appropriate.
So that was pretty neat. I've been to the big thing in Dallas. I've been to AT&T.
Jerry World.
I didn't go to a game. I just toured it. It was must have been 2011. Maybe 2000. Yeah, I think it was 2011 because the Steelers played during the Super Bowl that year against Green Bay and lost. Not sure. It was a 10 or 11. I've been to the RCA Dome. That was pretty. You want to talk about loud, like you were saying, Jeff, about the Superdome. That was the game they supposedly turned up the noise a little bit when they played when the Colts played the Steelers on Monday night. And Manning's opening pass went for 88 yards down the sideline to Marvin Harrison. That was how our Monday night started. We knew it was going to be a long night after that.
Yeah, not great.
No, but that's all right. We went back and beat them a couple months later in that shoelace game. How you tackle someone like that is unreal. So, what are your guys' expectations for the Niners? We'll start with Ted.
I've been saying 12-5 as of now. I'll revise after the preseason once I've got a better idea. I would say 10-7 as a floor, though. But 12-5 is my kind of realistic, what I think we'll be able to do, despite
Okay.
having a tougher season. My only big question mark is really center. Left guard with Aaron Banks. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to be Lakin, but I think he might be better than Lakin at pass blocking. And he might do a little bit different kind of run blocking that we'll utilize more with Trey Lance. I think we're going to run a lot more up the middle because Lance likes to throw deep and outside the numbers. So I think, instead of Jimmy G throwing short and intermediate over the middle and running the outside zone, I think we'll run a lot up the middle and throw a lot to the outside and deep. And instead of getting the big home run plays from Mostert, I think they'll be from Ayuk and maybe Danny Gray and Kittle. And I think
Okay.
Debo is underrated as a deep receiver too. I think people don't realize how good our weapons are because, we've never had a great quarterback to really elevate them.
Yeah, the weapons have been used to kind of goose the quarterback along instead of maximizing him. So
Yeah, I'm going 13-4. I mean, no one thought we were going to do well in 2019 or last season. So I'm setting it high. You never know. I mean, there's a lot of this anti-Trey Lance talk. I've always said on my podcast too, repping a NorCal sports show, that I roll with whoever the front office rolls with. But I do have to say that if Jimmy is still on the roster and plays week 1, which I've heard from other people that could happen, I think we are going to be in just a shit house because what that, why did we trade, 3 first round picks? So I don't know, just to have Trey sit another season. It just doesn't make sense. But I believe in Trey. I think he's going to do well. I think that we'll see what Shanahan can really do. I've questioned his eliteness. I don't know. Maybe it's because we had a average quarterback. Because I did like Jimmy. I was a big Jimmy G believer. Doesn't mean I thought he was top 10. I thought, in 2019 he was top 15 quarterback. Certainly a lot better than the other ones in the league. But hey, 13-4 is what I'm going with. And then after maybe like week 3, week 4, I'll adjust it to see how well we do or how well we don't do.
I'm looking at the schedule. I'm thinking I'm going to go with 12-5 too. I think the Russ curse goes over to Denver. So drop that one.
Yeah.
split the Seahawks, split the Rams. Probably going to drop to the Chiefs and one of the Chargers or the Buccaneers. So that's 5.
I say we get both Rams games.
Gina, I'm right with you at 13-4.
Hey, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, I did a whole roster and okay, whenever you fill them out like this, you don't realize like what you're doing because you start with A and you go all the way down, right? And before I know it, I had Tampa Bay at 16-1.
I've never done one of those before.
It's very interesting because like you start at the top and then you circle the game, you cross out the game, you go down, and then you move around and it's very long process. But yeah, so I have them at 13-4 too.
Sweet.
I mean, our defense is going to be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Our D line, this Drake Jackson kid, is going to be a beast. And until then, we got Kamoko Toure. They're both speedy, bendy defensive ends to go on the other end of Bosa. And if like Mike McGlinchey's to be believed about Kinlaw, that's what we've all been waiting for, is for him to really be unleashed. And we have the best linebacking core in the NFL, period.
Yeah, we do.
Fred Warner and Dre and Azeez Al-Shire. And then, picking up Charvarius Ward's a big pickup.
Very, very huge. My
And
opinion.
if Jason Verrett is healthy, it's going to be disgusting. Is all I can say.
Yep.
Because people think about Charvarius Ward in 2021, and he was a really good man cover safety, and Verrett was a really good man cover safety in 2020. But neither of them had a front seven like what we're going to have this year. Nothing close to that. I mean, and then obviously Jimmy Ward, and the only question marks are going to be nickel corner and strong safety. But I think we got a lot of options at both.
All right, so it came down to hold on, I'm breaking stride here. So it's either going to be 14-3 or 13-4. It comes down to the last week. If they've already clinched the division and they're playing that light play day, I have them winning against Arizona if they need to win, and if they don't, I had them losing. So that was why I went 13-4. I just wanted to clear that. But I had them losing to the Rams and Tampa Bay and Las Vegas.
Oh, the Raiders. The Raiders don't have very good secondary, so I don't sweat them too much.
But on the flip side, I do have Seattle apparently going 1-16.
Hey,
that's great news. Except for then they get their QB. Hopefully they pick the wrong one, right?
I think it's funny because Seattle opens up against Denver.
Yeah.
Wow. I did
there's a
not
few of
realize
those
that.
too. Browns versus Panthers too.
Yeah, revenge
Baker.
game.
Wow, that's going to be a great game too. Is that prime time by any chance?
I don't think so.
It's 'cause I love prime time games. It's just
Oh,
more,
And then Carolina opens up against Cleveland.
Yep.
Which the Baker Mayfield incident.
Yeah,
Should be interesting, but probably won't be Deshaun. It'll probably be Brisket.
Brissett.
So could Jimmy go to Cleveland?
Well, they just signed Jeff Rosen today, which
That's right.
which was a total Cleveland move out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's right. That just happened today.
He's terrible. God, terrible. There's just no heart in that kid. That's the problem. He's got lots of talent.
It's like they gave up on Baker after he beat Ben's record at Cleveland.
yeah. The guys like Josh Rosen, they come into the league and they act like you can't tell him anything, and that's what it sounds like with him. And so he stumbled out the gate, and everybody was like, "All right, fine. You don't want to learn. What am I going to do with you?"
He got off to a horrible start, though, getting drafted by Miami.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That kid.
No, he got drafted by Arizona.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Then he went
they
to Miami.
traded him to Miami,
And both had terrible offensive lines. And
and
that was what my excuse for him. I said, "Oh, well, once he came to the Niners, we'll fix him." And no, not even close.
Not even close.
For the record, I'm wearing a 49er shirt. It's just cold.
It's cold in the Bay there, huh?
It's cold here where,
Daly City has a lot of fog.
It's even worse today. It's terrible. It's been like nice usually where my parents live, but not the past week.
It's the fog capital of the world, especially when it's hot in the valley.
Pacifica's fog city, but
Right.
we're like
Just over the hill.
doorstep from Pacifica's like down the street from my parents' house. So yeah, pretty bad this week. No 99-degree weather like in up by Vacaville where my some of my family lives.
I had 91 today.
See, I love the heat.
Probably humid too, huh?
It wasn't bad. Even after it rained, it wasn't bad here today.
Oh, that's good.
It didn't rain like last night, but it rained. It was pretty cool. We had white lightning last night and stuff. It was pretty intense. Good
So you're
thunder.
obviously pretty bullish on Trey Lance then if you got us at 13-4 or 14-3, I'm guessing, right?
I like Trey Lance,
I do too. I mean, I'm super excited about him.
especially if they run this RPO like Shanahan wants to.
I think we'll see some of that for sure. I just think he's just improved every time he's gotten on the field, and he's got such a high ceiling. And Kyle always gets the most out of his QBs. I think we'll see it when Jimmy leaves. I think he's going to have a big drop, leaving Debo and George and Kyle Juszczyk and Ayuk. and obviously Kyle Shanahan. That's some really powerful offensive weapons in mind. I think it's going to really hurt him.
Jeff, before you go, I just saw the message.
Yeah, I gotta run. Sorry. So,
do you think they're going to keep Debo in the same role, even though he wants out of it?
no, they drafted Tyrion Davis-Price in the 3rd round to keep a quality stable of backs, a deeper stable of backs, and to not make Debo Samuel run the ball so much. If you look at his game logs, he ran the ball, I think 6 times in the first 8 games. And then all the running backs got hurt, like every single one. And then in the Rams game, they ran him a little bit. And then the Jags game, that's where they really unleashed him. And at the same time, Jeff Wilson and Trey Sermon combined for like 30 carries for 80 yards. They're like, we can't do that. And then that's when Debo went out of control. And he's really good not doing that. And he doesn't want to do it anymore. And I think that's one of the concessions they'll give him is, all right, you can get, we'll run you like 1 time a game, if that much. And we'll meet you halfway.
All right. Well, Jeff, how can the fans get a hold of you?
Twitter, Jeff Crisco, Krisko. I am by day a fantasy football writer, footballabsurdity.com. You can find us there. Check it out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why I have all these stats up here in the dome. But yeah, that's Jeff Crisco on Twitter. Footballabsurdity.com is the website. And check it out. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. I'll be catching up with you later on. Yeah, we'll come back and do it again.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you, Jeff.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys too.
Take care, Jeff. Nice to meet you.
Take care.
Alrighty.
So I'm so sorry I was late. My mom and I had to grab a bite to eat after the hospital. She didn't eat all day, and
I figured I knew your dad was not doing great, and so I figured it was something like that. So I wasn't upset or anything. I knew that there was family stuff going on, so I was just like, hey, that's why I was just saying I hope everything's okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, he's on life support, unfortunately. So we're just praying every day.
Understood.
Thank you.
All right.
What's up, Adam?
Nothing. Just happy to get back on the mic. Putting the headset on and talking football and talking sports in general. It gets me excited.
Hell yeah.
Makes me not think about reality for a little while. So do we have anything else to say about our Niners today, guys? Well, your Niners, not mine, but
just excited for camp to get started.
1 week away, less than a week.
For the Jimbo situation to be resolved and Debo signed, and Bosa might get signed too. We might get both of those deals done.
So do you go over to camp by chance, Ted?
I don't have plans to this year. I started a new job not too long ago, so I'm really trying.
Congratulations!
Thanks.
Yeah,
so I'm really trying to maximize my production and my value there to make sure that. Also, with the downturn coming, I just want to make sure to, make myself as indispensable as possible.
All right, Gina, you gonna try and head over?
Yeah, I am going to try. I went last season when they had open practice at Levi's. So that was fun. It was like first come, first serve seats. So we were just like right down there, and I'm videotaping Bosa, like warming up, because he didn't play in the practice. He didn't practice with them on the field. He was just kind of like running and stuff. And we're like, yeah, Bosa's coming back, after that ACL tear. So we were it was a great day. And then the food was like free because if you have that ticket, certain concessions you get free food. So
I was gonna ask, do they have anything good? Do they have good food in Levi, or is it all stadium?
I don't get the shishi foo food. I just get the freaking hot dog nachos, like chicken strips. Yeah, that's how I roll.
They do have some pretty fancy options for sure.
I can't see eating that. I can't see eating that during a game.
No, I mean I usually get most of my eating down at the tailgate. So
That's when I do too. And like
grill up some
Right.
steaks and
if I'm a little
brats and
intoxicated, I'll get
Yeah.
nachos.
Well,
Yeah.
if there's tailgating, then absolutely. We had and Ted, you should come out. We're supposed to like 49ers Twitter. It's not, invite only. It's like,
oh, the meetup.
yeah. And last season, um we did the home opener against Green Bay. And
Oh,
you know
cool.
that was the only game I've ever been to where the Niners lost. Every
Oh,
time I
man.
go to Levi's, they win.
And that's rare at Levi's too, because our record is garbage there lately.
It is, yeah. And that was the only game where I went to with a loss, and I didn't know how to react. I was like, "Oh!"
That was the game I jumped off the Jimmy G bandwagon. That was when my famous flip flop was after that game. I saw
Oh,
that
really?
him not be able to throw deeper outside the numbers allowed them to stack the box, and I was just like, we're only gonna get as far as we can carry this guy. He's never going to carry the team like this. And then, Green Bay did it to us again in the playoffs, and so did the Rams in the NFC Championship game. So I was like, God, that's like deja vu all over again twice. So it broke my heart.
Yeah, I mean, if it weren't for our special teams in the divisional, it's in the snow in Green Bay, yeah, we
Well,
would have never won.
special teams should be pretty special this year with Ray McLeod and
Yep.
Oren Burks and
Oh.
We had some
George
good
Odom.
pickups. Yeah.
A couple
Where'd
wide
you-
receivers too.
Ray is good.
Marcus
Mhm.
Johnson and Tariq Malik Turner. I think it's Malik Turner is a wide receiver, kind of a big-bodied wide receiver. So we got about 5 special team studs, but like they were literally the 3 best special teams free agents. We got
Yeah.
them all, and we got the guy Schneider. I forget his first name. Was the special teams coordinator for the Seahawks forever when they were really good.
Right.
John Schneider's their GM, but this guy's name is like Alex or Eric or something like that. Schneider. So I think our special teams might be special this year too. In addition to defense, is going to be, I've been saying top 3 and not 3rd, and then offense. We were about 7th last year. I could see us being 5th or 4th this year, maybe with Lance.
I'm with you on the special teams. I think that was where we needed to really improve from last season.
We were 27th. Yeah.
Yeah, so that I'm excited. I think it's going to be much, much better this season.
Yeah, it's one of our big areas of improvement. That I think defense is going to be a ton better because of our D line.
I have no doubt in our defense.
Yeah.
You guys have always had good defense, though.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, since 2019. Yeah.
Well, even the Harbaugh era, we
Oh, well,
had
yeah.
great defense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That was, the architect of that defense. It wasn't Balky, right? It was the guy before. His name
Right.
was Scott McLuhan, and then he left us and went and built the LOB for the Seattle Seahawks. And a lot of Seahawks are telling me about how they're going to do great in the draft and all this and that. And I'm like, well, you don't have Scott McLuhan anymore. And they're kind of like, who, what? And I'm like, oh, well, you might want to know this type of thing. I think he was pretty influential in identifying Cap and Russell Wilson too. So when they're talking about tanking to get a QB, I don't think they have the same brain trust that picked Russell Wilson there anymore. I'm pretty sure it wasn't John Schneider, who's still there.
Can I ask you a question, Ted?
And of course.
Or Adam too, but I wanted to find out what you thought, Ted, about, because we talk on Twitter all the time. The fact that Russ is gone, do you think it should have been Pete Carroll getting fired as opposed to Russ being traded? Like, what do you think was the main issue for Seattle?
Yeah, I think Pete Carroll is like 1-3 against us without Russell Wilson. And yeah, I think he's kind of old. I think he had his time. I don't think he's that great. I don't think John Schneider.
Same.
Yeah, I think they got rid of the wrong guy. Yeah. I don't think
Yeah.
Russ Wilson is what he used to be either, to be honest.
Right.
I don't know that he's worth what Denver paid for him in picks and players.
Yeah.
The Seahawks got a really good haul for him, but I think he'll make a huge difference on the Broncos, and I think the Seahawks are going to be terrible with Locke. So
Yeah, because Seahawks didn't even make the playoffs last year, and it was like the first time since like 2011, I think.
right, but
And
Russ
yeah,
missed 3 or 4 games, and then he came back early, and
No, it's the only
his
well,
hand,
the
right, because
Steelers
his
beat
hand,
them.
Gino started.
yeah, and even when Russ came back, I think he rushed back. I think he came back too soon. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it really affected him more than just the games he was out. There were at least 2 or 3 games once he was back where he really wasn't himself. But I mean, he's always had this, not always, but lately had this thing of like starting out really hot the first 8 games and then kind of fizzling down the
Mm-hmm.
stretch into the playoffs. And they're, you probably guys know they're like 1 playoff win in the last 5 seasons. So like Russ hasn't even been to the NFC Championship game without the Legion of Boom and Prime Beast mode.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think he's really good. I think he had a lot. The one thing I'll say about Russ, Gina, is, I think as Niner fans, we're all a little traumatized by him going 17-4 against us. But
Yeah.
he wasn't as good against other teams as he was against us. So,
Right. Yeah.
I think Seattle did the right thing to get the picks they got for him if he's unhappy to be there. But yeah, I think if it was me, if I was the owner, I would have got rid of Pete Carroll and John Schneider and
Same.
kept Russell Wilson and Bobby
Yep.
Wagner too, if I could. But Bobby's still a hell of a player. I'm sad that he went to the Rams.
Yeah, I know.
But,
yeah, I was gonna ask about how you guys
but
felt
they're a
about
lot
that.
worse. They're a lot worse. I mean, they lost so many people. They lost, all pro Whitworth left tackle. They
Yeah,
lost
he retired.
Corbett, a really good right guard. They lost Sony Michel, who was their workhorse when Akers was hurt last year. I think Henderson got hurt too, and Sony Michel really carried them. They lost
Robert Woods
Woods,
yeah,
OBJ. They probably get OBJ back, but when does he
maybe.
come back? And yeah, how will he be?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be much, at least till the playoffs, or stretch run or playoffs. And then that's just offense, right? Then on defense, they lost Von Miller. They lost another defensive end who was depth. They lost Sebastian Joseph Day. News just came out the other day that Bobby Brown, so their third best D lineman, just got suspended for 6 games for PEDs. They lost Darius Williams, who's a serviceable corner. They lost Weddle, and there's like, oh, he came off the couch. He came
Right.
off the couch, but he
But
played
no.
great for them. He was great for them against the Bucs. He was great against us, and great in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, Taylor Rapp is not good, and Fuller, the other safety, is pretty good, but he's coming back from a big injury. And then the big one is Ramsey had shoulder surgery. I'm like, and they're like, oh yeah, he should be back by week 1. I'm like, should be, okay, sure, let's see how that works. And he injured both shoulders last season. So I just feel like those type of things are cumulative. And, I could very easily see him injuring his shoulders again this season. So, I mean, the Rams, yeah, they added Allen Robinson, and yeah, they added Bobby Wagner.
Mhm.
But, overall, they just got a whole lot worse. And even if they have like this Note Boom guy to take over for Whitworth, there's nobody behind him. So like the depth is not there. They were already kind of top heavy to begin with. Who knows? Maybe they'll make some more moves, like they did last year by getting OBJ and Vaughn. If they do something like that, I could see them maybe contending again. Otherwise, like, I just don't see how we don't win the West.
That's why I don't agree with splitting the games, the win-loss with the Rams. I think we're still going to take them.
Oh, I think we'll sweep them fourth season in a row. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
NFC
bounce them from the playoffs if
championship
they
was a
make it.
fluke. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And Trent Williams had a high ankle sprain. Jimmy G had a hurt shoulder and a hurt thumb. And Tart dropped
Hart
the
didn't catch
interception.
the
Yeah.
interception.
No, I mean,
dropped
no,
it. Yeah.
I'm very confident for us
Yeah.
against the Rams. The ones I think we'll
Yeah.
split against, I could see the Seahawks maybe just because it's the Seahawks. But most likely the one, if you said split, I would say the Cards might split with us.
Yeah.
Just because they
you
have traditionally, we're 3-3 against them.
I have you
Cliff and Kyle.
splitting with the Rams. Just wanted to throw that out there.
That's fine. Hey, you got us at 13-4 or 14-3. I'm happy. Whoever
Yeah.
I'll take whatever losses you got if that's the case. Honestly, let the Rams sweep us if we go 14-3. Who cares? All I care about is we get to the playoffs and we're healthy and we make noise, right? And that's really it.
I'm gonna step away for 1 second.
Sure. Yeah. Regular season records are overrated in sports. It's nice to have home games, especially in the playoffs, but it's even better to be healthy and rested. And those are the teams just like how the Warriors did this year in the NBA, where they were injured all season, they all got healthy for the playoffs, and they just rolled right through. And so I hope the Niners do that without all the injuries.
So are you a Warriors fan too, Ted?
Yeah, I'm Niners, Warriors, Giants. So Bay Area teams for sure.
No earthquakes?
Oh, I like soccer. In college, I lived with some soccer players, so I'm more of a soccer file than most Americans, I would say, from living with a bunch of soccer guys. I did some stuff for the earthquakes back in the 90s and stuff, but not a lot recently.
Oh, San Jose Earthquakes.
You bet.
Nice. I report
I was just
on them on my show a little bit.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just saying that, the main thing for me, I'm not so worried about regular season record. It's just get in the playoffs and be healthy and
Mhm.
rested. Kind of like I was saying, like the
For
Warriors
sure.
were.
For sure.
That's the template to me.
Yeah.
It's great to have a bye. It's great to have home field, not to be traveling all over the country. But the biggest thing is to be healthy and hot.
Absolutely.
I think we will be. I think Lance will be. I've been saying, I think realistically around like the 15th quarterback in the league by the end of the season, and like
I like
stretch goal would be like 10-ish. I mean, he could be better, but I wouldn't count on it as a rookie or kind of effective second year
Yeah.
rookie.
Yeah.
But the good news is he doesn't have to be that great for us to do a lot better. Jimmy G set a really low bar. Below average and overall bad in the playoffs, and just absolutely terrible in the fourth quarter of playoff games.
Yep.
One of the worst ever. So
Yeah.
I appreciate him. I've been saying, the nice thing I'll say about him is he helped us win when we were bad, but it's kind of like when we got good, he held us back. So time for him to go. Thank you. Good luck on your next endeavor. I think it's going to be, kind of like Jared Goff, maybe not quite that bad because Detroit had zero weapons for him when he got there. But I don't think it'll be a whole lot better where he ends up.
All right. Yeah, I'm just anxious to get the football season.
Hell
You know,
yeah.
Your AFC North is going to be brutal.
It's going to be interesting.
Oh, well, I mean, the Ravens they seem like they're going to be dominant. I mean, obviously the Bengals helped their O-line. And, assuming
You really
that
think
Deshaun.
you really think the Ravens are going to be dominant
Oh, yeah, for sure.
with the run game?
Yeah, with the run game and with all those tight ends they got. They got Mark Andrews. They drafted a really good tight end. And they had Boyle's coming back, right? And then where I worry about the Ravens is wide receiver. They're counting on blanking on the guy's name.
Or Bateman.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman, exactly. And like Duvernay and some other kid from a small school that I forget his name. Yeah, wide receiver, but I mean their defense I think is going to be nails.
I love the pick of Kendra or Williams, this free safety out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, that guy is a
when
beast.
They traded up, I knew they were getting him. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and they already had great corners, and then they also get LaMarcus Joyner or somebody, some pretty good veteran safety too.
I don't know. Let's look.
Marcus Williams, LaMarcus Joyner, somebody. One of those guys retired. The other one went to the Ravens. Linebackers their only weakness with Patrick Queen. He's not very good. But no, I think the Ravens will be good. I think the Bengals will be good, and the Browns could be if Deshaun isn't suspended for too long and he comes back and he's not rusty after all this time off, which are some big ifs. I think he was a little overrated to begin with, if you ask me. But
time off. He's been off for almost over a year.
Yeah, no, I know. And that last season he played, when he put up those monster numbers, it was kind of a lot of it was garbage time. So I discount a lot of scoring when you're down by 2 and 3 scores, when they're just letting you score because they know that if they just stall you a little, they're going to win through the clock.
Right.
And he's only ever won one playoff game. And I'm not a huge QB wins guy anymore. That was one of the reasons I love Jimmy G was QB wins, and he's clearly proved to me that he wasn't the reason we were winning here. And Stafford and Goff switching places really drove it home for me too, to see like Goff was like a 64% winning QB with the Rams and just fell on his face with the Lions, and Stafford was sub 500 and he comes and he wins the Super Bowl with the Rams. 0-3 in the playoffs and goes 4-0 and wins the Super Bowl. So just shows that even the best QBs need a team. They need decent pass blocking and reliable weapons at the very least. Mobile QBs can help with a bad line, but you can't be going in your 3, 5, 7 step drop, and when you plant that back leg, you've got a defender right in your face. There's no way to react. There's nowhere to go. You're just going to get pasted. So
that's why you need to build that offensive line solid.
Yeah, and center is a key because that's the shortest distance to the QB is right to the center.
Right. Did the Bengals do enough to secure that line?
They made some nice moves. I think some of those guys are overrated or over the hill. Lyle Collins, I don't think is the guy he used to be. I like the one Kappa, the one they got from the Bucks is good. And I forget who the third one was. But at least they got 3 and they addressed a glaring issue. Their problem is they might lose Jesse Bates, who's a hell of a safety. I keep hoping we somehow swing it where we get Jesse, and this is the last year of Jimmy Ward's contract. And if we don't re-up him before the season, then we're probably going to end up letting him walk at the end of the season.
And I love him.
It'll be a bit. I do too. I mean, like I said, he was one of my.
You had him on your list, right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was being a little bit of recency bias, but
course,
I just wanted to include something more modern.
For sure.
A lot of more old guys I listed.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Ward's a great safety, super underrated.
Isn't he the longest tenured 49er as well?
Yeah. I think he was drafted in 2012 or 2013, and then Armstead the next year.
Yeah.
Or Tart than Armstead.
Tart's gone too.
Yeah,
right?
He's an Eagle.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are pumping up Tart, and I really enjoyed what he did. I
liked him. Yeah.
He had a couple great chase downs for us against the Eagles and in Green Bay this season with sure touchdowns that he stopped. But and he had that great one against the Seahawks when I was there, that Monday night game in 2019.
Yes.
Where
My son was there.
He stripped DK. That was great too. But ultimately, if you just look at the last 2 off seasons where we kind of just put him on the market and we waited a long time and we got him back last year for a vet minimum, and then we put him on the market and everybody waited a long time until the Eagles finally picked him up, and they finally released his salary info and he's on a vet minimum there. I mean, that just kind of tells the story to me, is that nobody values him enough to pay him more than the minimum. And some of that is injuries because he's missed, I think on an average of 7 games a year the last few years. But some of it is just, I think he might be a little bit more inflated in Niners view than he is, beyond just the dropping of that NFC. Because I think he had like 3 interceptions in 7 years besides that. So, it wasn't just that play. He's just not a ball hawk. And our defense doesn't necessarily put safeties in the position to be great ball hawks, but that's still a little lacking to me. And I'd rather have a guy who tackles well and covers well than, gets a lot of interceptions and gets burned.
For sure.
Classic example is Trayvon Diggs from the Cowboys, where he has all these interceptions, but if he's not intercepting, he's just getting cooked for a TD. So that's not what you want either.
Yeah.
Well,
Excellent points.
Yeah. But at least we have a lot of options. We got Huff, we got Tarvarius Moore, George Odom, I think is really underrated at safety. And
who?
George Odom, the special teamer.
Oh,
All pro special teamer we got from the Colts. He played some good safety. I was, sort of monitoring their Twitter after we picked him up, and they were distraught, not just because of the special teams, but because they thought he deserved more run at safety too. So I always kind of look and see what fans say when we pick people up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then there's Leon O'Neal Jr., who's an undrafted free agent from Texas A&M, who's a really good man cover safety in college, ball hawk, just a little bit slow like Huff, kind of like a 4.6 guy. Whereas I think Odom is like a 4.5 and Tarvarius Moore's more like a 4.4 type of guy, pretty fast. But, track speed and game speed are two different things. And if you have good anticipation, that's probably more important than your 40 time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I feel we had a really good talk.
Hell yeah.
Great.
And
I'm so glad you came on.
Yeah, I'm glad you hopped on, Mr. Ted.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I enjoy, seeing Gina on the timeline. I'll have to check you out. Is that your handle, Sports Talking It?
That's my handle, yes.
All right, I'll give you a follow.
All right, thank you, sir.
Sure.
You're welcome back anytime you want.
Cool.
I'm always here to listen.
Love it. Well,
I think Gina is too.
Yeah.
You ask good questions too. That's the key.
Yeah,
Sure.
Gina's more the San Francisco person than I am. But that's all
Most
right.
definitely. I'm third generation San Franciscan.
Eddie DeBartolo lived like 40 minutes from me.
No way.
Oh,
In
wow.
Youngstown?
Yes, sir. I'm like 40 minutes. Yeah, like 40 minutes, if that.
Nice.
Why do you think?
Very cool.
So, yeah, they still have a DeBartolo building up there. I don't know if it's active or not, but I know that they won't tear it down. So,
Not surprised.
all right.
Forget about it.
Forget about it, right?
Right on. Well, thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ted. I'm so glad you joined last minute.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
I appreciate any opportunity to get on and talk Niners.
All righty, Ted. Yes, fun having you, man. You want to tell my fans how to get a hold of you real quick? And I guess Gina's fans too, because we are on her Twitter and Facebook.
Sure. TedH6 on Twitter, at TedH6.
All right.
Just like you see on the screen there.
Gotcha.
And
All
I'm
right.
Gina, repping a Bay. I've got a show called Reppin' the NorCal Sports, where I cover all sports of all Bay and up and down, from UC Davis-Sac all the way down to Fresno State Bulldogs.
And Gina, you're going to be on tomorrow night too, right?
I'm going to join a show talking MLB, so you can catch me again.
We will have Jason, who just became a teacher at Fresno tomorrow.
Oh, yes, that's right. I need to do my homework on it.
So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to close you out. If you want to stick around for a minute afterwards, you can. And I'm going to say goodbye to my fans and wrap up, and then we'll be good.
Sounds good. Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am. Yes, sir. Phoenix. All right, you didn't make your cameo. Come on. There's my doggy making another cameo. All right, guys. Well, hey, I am Talking Sports It, and we covered the Niners tonight, and I hope everyone enjoyed it.